when I first started making Cambodian food, I didn't actually feel like it was right. I was like,
How
oh,
come? Because you just didn't feel like you had like the same level as your grandmother, or like what was
no.
going on?
I just didn't want to be someone that relied on a cultural background
Mm,
to give me a identity, you
okay.
know, and so I didn't know if I was able to produce Cambodian food or
Mm,
Cambodian flavor, but by actually relating it back to the food that I made when I was a child, like when
yeah.
I ate when I was a child, it helped me really understand that, like, no, you are Cambodian, and this is why you're Cambodian, and this is why you have a voice about the food and your culture because
hmm
you lived that culture.
Right.
And it was very special to really kind of discover that.
Yeah. So I think although you were born and raised in L.A., yeah,
Hmm.
but you ended up going to school in New York, culinary school in New York. What was that experience like?
It was like taking a city girl and putting her into a rural town.
What do you mean?
And I never understood what fall was, and it
Ah,
was just so funny
you
because
had seasons.
I would talk to people and it'd be like, "Oh my God, spring is coming! I'm seeing green," and they were like, "Okay," and it was like spiritual to me, but to them it was just like the
It's just
calendar
regular.
year, you
It's like,
know.
yeah, this is what happens.
But it was definitely something that I appreciate because in LA, you don't really think about every day is the same day and you
Hmm
just kind of like keep scraping those days.
Right.
But when you're in a seasonal calendar, your life changes so much. Like for the first time, I discovered why you have to blow your nose before you leave your house because I would walk to class and I had like a stuffy nose. And then I would walk to class, and then as soon as I got indoors, it would be a stream of burgers that came down. And it was so embarrassing. I was like, oh my God, why? Because, okay, for people that don't know, it freezes.
Yeah.
And then once you get indoors, it
It
melts.
melts.
Yeah. So that's what
So that's how
happens.
you were walking around New York.
Yeah. With constant runny nose.
So what was your experience with culinary school while you were there?
It felt like Hogwarts. It was the first thing that I paid for. So actually, I really wanted to go to culinary school coming out of high school.
Mm.
And my dad was like, no, don't waste your mind.
Hmm.
And so I just kind of like completely forgot about it.
Yeah.
And then I was a college dropout.
Mm.
I made a ton of money serving. And I bought so much clothes and so much like useless stuff. And I still couldn't spend it all because I was 21 and I had nothing to buy. And my mentor at the time, he was the chef at the restaurant. He was like, "You should just go. Like, why do you need your parents to tell you? You could buy it."
Hmm.
So it was the first thing I actually ever bought for myself. That was like, that changed my life,
Yeah.
and I took it so seriously. I didn't smoke weed during the weekdays. I didn't. I was like, no, if I smoke weed today, I'm going to be sleepy tomorrow. So I'm just going to not smoke weed. And it was so hard for me because I have a huge pothead. And I was like, I can't smoke weed. I didn't drink. I slept at 10 o'clock every night. And everyone who knows me knows that that's impossible
I was
for
gonna
me.
say, like, you don't,
No.
yeah, you know, that's
I
early.
did my bed every day. And so to me, it was a really important moment in my life to show me myself that I wanted this.
Hmm
And um, every single step of the way has been fortuitous towards this very moment, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I feel like my education was a big part of it. I took it so seriously.
Mm.
I had no friends. And I was a librarian.
What?
And
It sounds like a different person.
sometimes I wish I could be that person again. You know, like who would I be if I
Yeah.
was that same person? But I'm not.
hmm
But when I was at culinary school, I really took it seriously, and
Yeah.
I just loved it every step of the way.
What was your intent? Like, was your intent coming out of that? Like, you were going to be a chef. You were going to have a restaurant. Like,
No,
okay,
oh my
what was the
God,
deal?
I actually never wanted to have a restaurant.
Huh.
I felt like I didn't want because in culinary school, that's all they prime you for. They're like,
hmm
you're going to be a chef, you're going to have a restaurant. And I was like, that's not the life I want. Like, I don't want to have a restaurant. And so I actually tried to go into um, like school lunch programs, or I actually tried to uh, join the airline like food
Huh.
program.
Yeah.
But all of them, they didn't really support new talent.
Mm.
Like I would try to figure out like, hey, how do I work within a budget and empower like the school system?
Yeah.
And the woman who was leading the industry, she was like, you're not ready for it. You're like, you don't get it. It's really hard, and I don't think you've got it.
Huh.
So I was like, okay. And so
Yeah.
I did like, I was so turned
Wow.
off by it. And the airline program as well, like I tried to look and apply, and they were just like, they had a really kind of systematic way of creating their program,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't really feel like it was something where I could engine like renovate or
Or like
like
influence and like really
yeah.
change it.
So then I went into cooking and went into restaurants, and I took it really, really seriously. And so now I see a different side of restaurants that I do than I did before. And now I understand that like it's a culture hub.
Mm-hmm.
Like restaurants kind of
Mm-hmm.
provide a culture,
For sure.
and I think that that's something that I kind of lead with every time I think about hospitality and restaurants in general. It's like we are definitely a culture force that can
Mm.
provide for a group of people. And that was even more so during COVID, is
Yeah.
like, you know.